Jumping in Team Fortress. It might seem obvious. You press space and you're off, what's the big deal? Well, there are actually a few things that can be done in the air to make sure you have full control of your character at all times. And this isn't just for soldiers and demos, this applies to all classes. Let's get started. First of all, and again this goes for all classes, always crouch as you jump. This is important because it gives you a little bit of extra height, and that can be essential to clear certain jumps. You're basically pulling your feet up towards your body instead of being completely straight. That means your feet are higher up and you can get on to taller platforms. Plus it makes airstrafing easier, so just make it a habit. Whenever you jump, you also crouch, and keep crouching until you're no longer in the air. Now, you may think airstrafing only applies to boost jumping classes, but it's just as important to the other classes. Most likely, you have at some point been flung up in the air by a soldier's rockets, a demo's explosives, a pyro's air blast, or a sentry's knockback, or any other way. And once in the air, you may have found yourself completely out of control, just waiting for gravity to pull you back down to Earth. But to this I say no more! You will now learn how to control yourself in the air, and go from a sitting duck to a charging eagle in the sky. Let's get started. I'll mention that I will be referring to the movement keys as their default settings, such as W for forward and mouse movements for aiming, so if you change those, make sure you check what keys those would be in your setup. Now, once you've made your jump or been pushed up in the air, if you're still holding W, just release that key. You've been pushed off in the direction that you're going, and holding W won't make you go farther. In fact, it may just slow you down, but will at the very least make it more difficult to airstrafe. So just release that key until you're back on the ground again. So, now that you're in the air, soaring like a bird, it's time to decide where you're going. I do realize that I may have built this up slightly too much now, as the active airstrafing isn't too fantastical or complicated. Basically, you look in the direction that you want to go, while pressing the corresponding movement key. So for example, to turn left, you press the A key while slowly moving the mouse to the left. And to go right, you press the D key while slowly aiming to the right. The trick here is to do a slow, controlled movement. A too fast or jagged movement won't do you any good, and you have to press both the movement key and aim. Only pressing the keys will move you slightly, but not nearly as much. And just aiming doesn't do anything unless you press the movement key. It's also important to note that while you are free to move around as you wish in the air, you need to realize, whether you got there by choice or by accident, you have some sort of initial direction that you're going in. If, for example, you've been pushed away with a rocket or an air blast and you want to return to the same direction that you were pushed away from, looking straight at that direction and pushing W won't work. As you can see, that will just stop you in your tracks and you'll fall straight down. Instead, you can use the momentum you have to your advantage and turn to the side to make a U-turn. This can save you from falling off of cliffs and make it difficult for enemies to anticipate where you will land. It's possible to change direction many times in the air. This is useful both for navigating maps, but also to make you more difficult to hit. Using the base jumper, a parachute that can be used by soldiers and demos, will give you more air time and can be a good tool for practicing airstrafing. Of course, there's a lot more to learn and more difficult jumping and strafing techniques to practice, but now you at least know the basics. I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to see my jumping tutorials or any other videos I've done, there will be links to them in the description. Thank you for watching.